we have no control, like the size of Indian market and things of that kind. And you talked about governments. I think many Pakistanis feel that perhaps the governments which have been imposed on us have been imposed from outside to some extent. We also played a role in it, but the main initiative to impose them came from outside.
Okay, again, I'm not a big fan of these conspiracy theories, in the sense that I feel that if we leave a vacuum, for example, if you look at how many people, I didn't go to vote in the last election, how many of us went to vote? So, first of all, the type of leaders that we've selected right now from our president, I don't want to get into it, but I'm just saying we've not had the best in the government or in the opposition. And you look at the national assemblies and everything, they're very nice people, but they've not come forward. It's because, as they say, I think it was Martin Luther King who said that in history evil prevailed not because there were bad guys around, but because the good remained silent. All right. So I think before we start even criticizing, we need to see what are we doing about it. So, and quite frankly, when I say leadership failure of Pakistan has not just been political, it's been the civil society's leadership failure as well, be it the business community, the NGO sector, or whoever, you can look at it. And no one can tell me that it could not have been. And Abdul Sattar easy could do it with driving one ambulance and then making it into the largest speech in the world. I'm sure all of us, we were 10 times, if not 100 times more privileged than he was when he began. So, so I feel that, first, any meaningful relationship, US-Pakistan, first we have to build ourselves, and we need to step out of this hidden hand, conspiracy theories, etc. Because what that does is, at the subconscious level, we absolve ourselves of the responsibility that the onus is with us. And unless we don't realize that, nothing will happen. I'm drawing room and criticize karte rahenge, main bhi karte rehta hu, dawat mein jata hu, but we're really not progressing.
And what about the first part of my question?
Can you please repeat that? Sorry, I'm getting old, my memory
Has our importance marginalized because of our own internal factors, disunity, and you can go on and on, or factors like the size of Indian market over which we have no control?
देखिए, Indian market is completely different. I think वो तो हमारा difference अब इतना बढ़ गया है कि we should dehyphenate ourselves. India is going in a different ball game. We are in a completely different ball game. As well as on an Indian market, access to Indian market, that of course we should fight it out and we should try and get it, because China and India are two big neighbors, the fastest growing economies in the world, and will be the future regional and international superpowers. We need to partner with them. We do not have a choice. If we want to be a vibrant economic state in the next 25 years, we cannot. We need to partner them and engage them very, very actively. So yes, Indian markets, we would love to have them, because just even in one item textile sector, if you see, we could easily have as big a market as Pakistan has with the EU on one item if we get access to India's domestic market. So I'm saying yes, there are a lot of potential. Is that what your question was on India thing? Yeah, we would. But like I said, India, huge market, Pakistan here economically, so the relationship, US relationship between India and Pakistan will be very much off scales. Until unless we don't do something ourselves and build ourselves, tolerance within us. There's so much intolerance within our society, and it's not just the Taliban suicide bomber, it's also amongst our elite in all spheres, ethnicity, religious-wise, even tolerating very religious individual. We liberals are very intolerant about that. So I think we need to accept ourselves. Diversity within the society is the basic fabric that will give it strength for it to progress. It's not just economics; it has to be socio-economics together. I hope.
It is nice to hear to some very enthusiastic people, very optimistic people. Both of you mentioned that this phase of violence and terrorism is a temporary one, and it's only a temporary phenomenon. it will pass out. I'm not expert in international relations or politics or business or economics. I'm just a student of mathematics. When I look back 60 years of this subcontinent, the violent divide of India on both sides, west and east, then two conventional wars, splitting of the country, violent splitting of the country, and then one Soviet war fallout in Pakistan, the Kalashnikov culture, blah blah things, and then violence begins in Karachi, and now after 9/11 the situation is becoming worse and worse. I know a simple mathematical formula known as extrapolation, and that gives me a very horrible picture. I don't want to be pessimist, but I'm wondering why you people say that it's only temporary. If you have a good reason, please share that.
Okay. First of all, I think that is a huge compliment if you thought that my presentation was optimistic. He's a wonderful
He's a dreamer,
soul,
and I
and
like
he's
that.
always eternally optimistic. Unfortunately, my soul
If
is
someone
not
can
as
dream,
pure as his.
if someone can dream, he can do something.
Okay. When I said temporary, I specifically mentioned war on terror. And in the context of United States, war on terror is a phrase that was coined by George Bush immediately after 9/11. It never existed before, right? So this defines US foreign policy, war on terror, right? And sooner or later, at some point, Afghanistan, US will withdraw from there for various reasons, political, mostly economic reasons. Right? And their benchmark for success has been scaled down dramatically over the last 2 to 3 years. If you see, it has been scaled down what they would consider a success. And today, they're not even looking at democracy in Afghanistan as a success. Their benchmark is purely कि भाई एक sustainable हो जाए, local Afghan forces आ जाए. So rather than US blood being spilled, let the Afghan blood be spilled. Alright, I'm being very blunt. I hope there's no media here over there. Many times US visa can cancel me. So I'm just saying that, and which is fine. To be honest, I don't have a problem with that because nations think for their own selfish strategic reasons. We also do this. So I'm saying that they would want to get out of Afghanistan. It does not mean Afghanistan problem will solve. And as long as the Afghanistan problem is there, it will always have the fallout effect of it. So because of that, I say that at least China के साथ हम अपनी partnership spend करें, India के साथ we should do peace with them. And this virus that is there within our society, you call it Taliban, you can call it Al-Qaeda, you can call it religious intolerance or Sipe Sahabas or whatever, and there are a whole brew of them. This is not going to vanish into thin air, right? This is going to stay here, and you and I and our generation are going to face it. The only thing we can do is that whether this thing brews out of control or we contain it, all right? And I think that's where the whole civil society role comes in. Can we actually proactively, the good guys remaining silent, as Martin Luther King said, if they can step up and really try and be a counterforce to these people, then there is a chance that we'll be able to subside them substantially. So war on terror was purely US interest in Pakistan, in our region. And like I said, it's not the US administration. I'm concerned about the sincerity of them. It is the Congress and the Senate and all these guys and the US public, which is very, very fickle. Kal kuch aur ho gaya, to again the whole attention span will go right over there. So at the end of the day, we are responsible for our own ills. We have to face it up. We have to solve it, whatever it is, and our future generations are